Hi, welcome to Healing Humanity. My name is Dina, and I want to talk to you today about, I guess, a lot of the narrative that goes on online um, regarding finding yourself, right? So, when I started, excuse me, I still have a cold. When I started about 9 years ago, and I was looking for, you know, different ways to make money, different ways to keep myself busy, um, and I had a lot of big plans. People kept telling me you got to find your reason for being here on Earth. And I thought, my God, like there's a ton of stuff I can do. I don't know what my reason for being here is. And the more things I tried, um, the more pushback I got from other people. And that had to have been the most frustrating part because you have people telling you to um, build a new life, find your why, find what you want to do with your life, what you're supposed to do, right? It doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter what you're supposed to do. There's 1,000 things you're supposed to do or could do. There's no one thing you're supposed to do here except for find yourself, to go within and awaken the things within yourself that are so important to you, so important to the general public, and so important to God. What am I talking about? Well, what was awoken in me was a was a God-given gift. Yes, but it's available for everyone. And if we don't take the time to focus on that and to get into the word of God, then then we're not focusing on the true reason for being here. Uh, a lot of people had asked, well, who are you? Well, I'm a lot of things. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I, was a property manager, I was um, an accountant for certain people. I was so many things. I was a sister, a daughter, so many things to so many different people. It depends on who you're talking to as to who I was. And it's the same as for you, I'm sure. You are many things to many different people. But when you start to have some life altering changes in your life, when God starts to get involved in your life, when you start to awaken to what this world truly is and can be, things start to go very quickly. And it's a time where you have to look within and you have to reclaim yourself, because you have been so many things to so many other people. You have to find, you know, you have to find that spark within yourself. And that's the biggest change. That's where what you're here to do. You're here to get to the heart. Um, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter what hairstyle you have or what physical changes you can make to impress people. And it doesn't matter what you do for work. What doesn't matter what you bring in for money. It doesn't matter what man tries to press upon you. And they do. They try to press a lot upon you. They have built systems that don't work anymore. They have given power to people, or people have taken power that, in my opinion, don't quite deserve it yet. Um, unless we're here to help one another, everything that we do doesn't matter outside of that. And that's what you have to do by reclaiming yourself is is to um, is to help others, because through helping others we help ourselves. And I think that that's where we it doesn't matter what your past is, it doesn't matter what your goals are, it matters what you're focusing on and how you're going to show up in the world. Are you going to be um, helpful? Are you going to try to get to the heart, your heart, and use your ability to love and to forgive to guide you, because that's what the Bible is really all about. I mean, Jesus came here to tell us to love one another, and he did over and over and over again. And yet still here we are thousands of years later. It blows my mind. And I'm not speaking from a higher than thou position. So don't get me wrong. I used to be the same way. I'm not anymore because I had to work on myself. I had to go within. I had to find my heart. I had to allow God to make changes within me. Um, I had to I had to stop reacting and I had to start thinking to my life. And that was an important change to get to that point. I heard a Navajo historian talking today. His name is Wally Brown, and he has a YouTube channel. And he and his son, I think his son, have a YouTube channel, and I highly suggest you check it out. It's Navajo Traditional Teachings. And like I said, it's on YouTube. And I love listening to them and to specifically Wally. And he said today, he was talking about adversity in our lives. And he said today his grandfather told him, you be the opposition in your adversity. And I thought, wow, that's super profound. And that's so true. When you run up against these systems and man's opinions and the things that they are trying to press upon you, I want you to realize that you have to look within. You have to realize whether or not what they're asking you to do, is it for you? Because if it's not for you, don't feel like you have to follow that same road, because you don't. There are other ways for you to attain opening up your heart center. There's other ways for you to reach an enlightened state. There are other ways for you to find that peace and the joy in your life, and to so-called reclaim your identity, right? Your true identity, not who you are to a thousand other people, not the worker. Because let me tell you, I worked so much, and when I wasn't working, I was with my kids. And then when I wasn't working and wasn't with my kids, I was with my grandkids. It was just like a constant cycle of and I actually, even when I was younger, I grew up in a household where for several years I took care of my sisters in the evenings when my mom worked. And then when I started to fight back against that, I moved into another person's house, wound up taking care of their kids. Then I kind of moved away from that, had my own kids. And so my whole life had been taking care of other people. And I picked a position, a career in my life that caused me to have to take care of others. I wasn't a nurse or anything like that, but being a property manager, it was constant fires. And so I was constantly, in some aspects, even 24/7, on call, had to be available for the people that I was serving, and needed to make sure that they were taken care of, and not just slightly taken care of. I had to go above and beyond most of the time when I was able to physically, um, and that becomes a lifestyle. That became my lifestyle anyway. I became what you might call a workaholic, I guess. And so when all of that fell apart, after 30 years, and so many different things happened, I was standing there not knowing who I was. And I had coaches and life assistants just scammering to try to get me to figure out, what's next and who are you, and all this. And I had no idea. You may not either. You may get to a point in your life where you don't know either. It's a scary time, and it's very, it can be sort of a part of your life that can be a little bit fearful. You can become fearful because you don't know what's next. Um, for me, I was trying several different things, and I just couldn't get over the roadblocks that were put in my way. And, it was unfortunate, but I want you to know that really it kind of was, in the end, it kind of was a good thing because I could start to see the patterns within these groups and within the people that I was dealing with. And I could tell that, it wasn't about what they were all asking of me and of others, not just me, but others that are part of these programs. It was more about getting to the center of your heart and finding that joy to wake up every single day, to get to the point where you appreciate every breath that you have. And I kind of had that anyway because of the sickness that, I had a couple bouts with cancer. And so through that ordeal, it just instantly made me more appreciative of the life that I was given and more appreciative of being able to breathe every single day. I may not state it all the time, and I may get frustrated, and I may get, have some fear or, whatever might come. But at the end of the day, I have been truly grateful that I'm still walking this planet and still able to experience life. And I would like that for everybody. I would like that for you. That if you're not waking up and appreciating the life that you've been given, that's a problem. Don't you think? That, we all work so hard and we all are 1,000 different things to so many other people, but who are you to yourself? What can you bring to your own life instead of needing other people? Instead of even wanting, other people. Not that you shouldn't have people in your life. You should. We all should. None of us should be living alone completely. We have to open ourselves to relationships, but really, who are you when no one else is around? That's what matters. That's what matters the most. Who are you in your heart? Are you looking for ways to make a difference in the world, or are you just looking for ways to make a dime? Because if that's what you're looking for right now in the world, I think God is looking for people that can be different. He's not looking for those people that are looking to make that dime. He's looking for people who want to find their heart. And these retreats that use drugs to awaken you, whatever group or whatever you're part of, if they are using something outside of you to awaken your spirit within you, that is not going to open your heart. It's only going to open your head. And I've said this a long time ago. I was talking about this, and I can't stress it enough. Is there some use for this stuff? I don't know. Possibly. I don't know much about it. I've never tried it, and I don't intend to. But I can tell you that from my experience, from the people that I have known fairly well that have, gone to Peru and done things like this, it did not help their heart. It only opened their mind. And that's a good thing, but it's not everything. And until you open your heart, you are not available to God's kingdom. So that's something that we all have to work on. We all have to, dive into the Bible. We have to reclaim our own identity. We have to realize that nothing in our past matters anymore from that day forward. When we put our minds to reclaiming ourselves, that's what's going to be most important. And, that with that path does bring adversity. It's supposed to. There's things in our lives that we think, there's things in our lives that we do that don't serve us. And until we get to the bottom of those, and until we can change the way that we have been trained, but both by our family, our parents, our grandparents, some aspects our great-grandparents, and society and school, all schools, unless we are prepared to unlearn everything that we've already learned, we're not ready to open our heart, you know? And that's a big part of reclaiming your own identity, and to stand out from among the crowd, to stand with your heart open and love people that are coming against you, love people that have hurt you even, and forgive them. It doesn't mean you have to stay. It doesn't mean you have to go back, but it does mean that you have to forgive them. And it does mean that you do have to still pray for them and love them and appreciate the opposition that they brought to your life, because through the opposition you grow. And sometimes you grow a lot. But anyway, that's just something I was thinking about today. When I was listening to the Navajo historian, sometimes he says things that are very profound, and I just found that his grandfather's message to him was one of those things that really needs to be shared with others. And so I'll say it one more time. He said, "You be the opposition to your adversity." And I think that will help make massive changes in your life, is to stand firm and get to your heart, know who you are, and don't be afraid of others. Don't be afraid of man's insistence on particular types of changes that actually don't need to be done to connect with God and God's kingdom. So, until next time, keep healing and know that you deserve it.